Verse 10 of chapter 6. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Be strong in the Lord and the power of His might. Get your might from where? From the Lord. Put on the whole armor of God. By the word, that word power is the word kratos, which means dominion. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles or the craftiness of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. And I want you to look at that. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Your battle, your enemy is not other people. Now I know you think it is. And sometimes these things manifest themselves in people. But you have to realize that there is something that is going on back behind the scenes. There's something going on in a realm that you don't see with your physical, you don't touch with your physical senses. But I believe that we've established over the last 5 weeks that that doesn't mean that this realm is not real. It's just different. It's just something that you don't see. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Okay, now I want you to notice this. It says we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against, in other words, he's not saying you don't wrestle. He's not saying there's not a fight. He's just telling you that it's not against flesh and blood. Your battle, or you wrestle against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts or spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. So we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but we do wrestle. Now, one of the words that's interesting in verse 12, the word against in verse 12 is it's a very interesting word. It is the Greek word pros, P-R-O-S, not anti. If you were battling against somebody and this word anti was used, it would be like two armies battling against one another, and you had one army over there arrayed for battle and an army over here arrayed for battle, and then you come together on the battlefield. That would be anti. The word pros is a different word. It means face to face, side by side, shoulder to shoulder. And what the implication is your enemy that you're fighting against is not as well defined. It's easy to spot an enemy that's out there against you, that's arrayed in battle coming against you. It's easy to spot that enemy. It's a lot harder to spot an enemy that's standing side by side with you, that is shoulder to shoulder, that's up close enough, that's face to face with you. In other words, the wiles, the craftiness of the enemy is to infiltrate. It is not to stage a war out in front of you, strength against strength. The devil has already waged that war and been defeated.